Tonight's a little bit of a later lift. We're leaning towards the side of late. I slept way in today, which I thought I was gonna hiccup. Which in a bodybuilding context, I don't mind at all. Extra sleep, that is fucking sick. But that kind of limits my gym choices. It's midnight. It's 12:15. So instead of going to the Y or uh, the Metro, headed to Anytime. And as the name would suggest, it's open anytime. But they've got some pretty good chest machines there. Pec flies, cables, hamstring chest press. That's as much as I need. Honestly, I'm satisfied with just cables and, honestly, cables and dumbbells, cables and a bench. You don't need much for chest. I'm probably going to jump around movements, do some flies and cable press and machine press and maybe incline bench, depending on how it feels. But I've had lifts where it was just incline bench, followed by cable flies, and that was the end of it. Right? Just two movements. And some people would see that and say, just how are you going to get big doing only two exercises? That's not how this works. You have to do at least 5 exercises in a workout. See, now that's the type of thought processes which I would kind of attribute to the lifter with a closed-minded approach. You know, I'm not saying a multi-exercise workout is bad. I do them all the time. I've had lifts where I do like maybe 6 movements, or I do like a set, maybe 2 sets, and then say, move on, and then jump around all over the place. You gotta remember, the important part isn't necessarily the actual exercises themselves. It's just the net amount of sets that you do in the workout. If I do 3 sets of incline barbell or 3 sets of hammer strength chest press, in terms of how it's actually activating my chest, I mean, it's pretty much the same shit. It's a little different, of course. It's going to feel different. The weight moves in a little bit of a different strength curve. So, look, it is different. But what's the main fibers being activated? Upper chest, mid-pec, a little bit of front delts and tricep. You know, if you really numb it down to those basic core components of the movement, it's the same shit. And then when you do a cable fly, it's pretty much the same too. Of course, you're not doing a press, you're doing a fucking fly, but you're still just flexing and then releasing your pecs fibers. So the exercise type, or the exercise selection specifically, kind of magnified down, whatever. You know, do some heavy pressing, do some flies. That's usually how I like my chest days to go. Right? Heavy pressing, a lot of load, lower rep sets, followed by maybe longer 20 reps burning sets on cables or pec decks. That combination always gives me a good lift, or at least a good pump after the lift, which I'm not saying getting a really good pump means your workout was perfect, but it's not like they're opposite. Usually, this is what I'm looking for at the end of a lift, regardless of style or body part or whatever. If I know I'm pretty fatigued, each muscle group is, cooked. I pushed my sets hard. I can feel that I'm physically weaker in them, and I'm pumped. Then I'm satisfied with that. So, whenever I do a workout with, other characters, obviously pretty fucking rare, but, whenever I'm going to, like, a hostile trip, and we've got, Ben there, Fuad there, these are guys who've been lifting for years longer than me. I take a step back, man. I'm listening to what they're saying. They've seen the gym from a completely different perspective than me for a long time. So I'm not so locked into a specific style or a specific workout split or routine or whatever else. And I think that's the best way to go about it, right? Have an open mind. Because the last thing you want to do is think that you've totally mastered everything, and then, your results plateau. And since you already have it locked in your mind, like, well, I'm doing everything right, why am I not getting any results anymore? And then you're just making a goddamn breeding ground in your mind for excuses. Oh well, it's my genetics, so it's my fast metabolism. Come on. There are certain, let's just say, external factors beyond your control. Genetics being one of them. Some dudes, it's easy for them to get down fucking 6,000 calories a day, like nothing. They're not even trying to bulk up. That's just what they can eat, just because they're hungry or because they feel like it. And then well, not same situation, but same situation reversed. Some dudes can eat 1,500 calories a day, and they're like almost trying to eat that much, just because their metabolism and their, let's just say, their appetite is just, super low, based on whatever kind of factors of, I don't know, their mind, their body, their thyroid, there's all sorts of stuff is going to play into things like that. And they are things which you do need to take into account. The guy who can eat a ton of food like nothing, he has to put more effort into dieting down if he wants to get lean. And the guy who has no trouble eating an amount of calories that for some people would feel like starvation, he's going to have trouble getting down food to actually put on weight. So, this isn't anything new. Obviously, everybody's going to start from a different starting point with different skills and, let's just, what's the word I'm thinking of? Different affinities for different body parts. Some dudes just have crazy chest genetics. Some guys' triceps are a little bit lagging. Some guys, whatever, right? But these aren't things that you should perpetually complain about. Just by doing that, just by kind of saying in your mind, oh, well, I can't get this because, well, my genetics. Nobody has ever become a freak and constantly thinks to themselves, yeah, oh man, I've got really bad chest genetics. Come on. Right? Things like that, those situations and those little, even drawbacks, they're things which you can address, but you don't have to linger on them. Those are just things which you need to act accordingly because of. To constantly complain about something like that, or to use it as a scapegoat for why you can't achieve a certain level of whatever. This doesn't have to be lifting, this could be whatever. Of course, if I'm talking about it, it's going to be, lifting, muscle, bodybuilding related. But to have that sort of, just kind of really just a fucking loser mentality, The real killers who are going to be able to set themselves apart from the crowd and make progress year after year, even month after month, depending on if they're, bulking or whatever. They're the guys who use that situation and they're like, yeah, my triceps are a little small. I'm going to fucking destroy them, this bulk. My legs could catch up. All right. I'm going to try to make sure I throw up every fucking quad lift. The dudes who take those, I'll call them weaknesses, right, and hit them as hard as they can to turn them up to their strengths, right? I feel like I heard this somewhere, but I love this quote. You don't have strengths. You just have weaknesses that need to be brought up to par. So in that sense, if you've got a badass set of delts, but your arms are, a bit behind, you shouldn't be like, my arms are shit. That should be a cue for you to go, okay, I'm going to fucking kill my arms. Stuff like that should be a cue for you to go harder. And if it kind of makes you a little bit dissuaded and puts you off, it's like, oh, I don't like arm day, my arms aren't very big. But then it just sounds like you don't want to get bigger arms, and you just want to complain about how they are now. That's, and that goes for kind of everything. We see it all the time. Everybody talks about some shit that they want to do. And sure, it would take a certain amount of workload. But more often than not, most people are just comfortable staying where they are and complaining about it, rather than actually getting up and doing something to progress towards what they want. And that's just something to do with fucking human psychology, and I'm sure TikTok, dopamine, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels isn't helping that situation very much either. But that's enough of my little rant. Chest is going to be the same as usual. Actually, not the same as usual. What am I talking about? I've actually got to go a little bit lighter and ease into it. just make sure I don't fucking hurt myself. But let's just get in there and get fucking started. I've got a little bit of a tendency to not actually start recording until the first working set, but I get it. It's a little misleading. I don't just jump straight to, well, when I'm super strong and fresh, I don't just jump straight to like 3 plates and a 25 on incline. I got to sit here and warm up a little bit. So chest is the day which I spend the longest to warm up because there's a lot of moving parts, right? With buys and tries, I just sit here, do a couple of push downs, gradually increase in weight. And then once I'm at close to my working weight level, then I'm ready. I just start. But with chest, right, my shoulders are moving around, my elbows are moving around, my wrists are moving around. So everything that's going to come into play, I want to make sure it feels good. And it's been exposed to a little bit of weight before even the first working set's warm-up weight. Like this isn't even I'm going to sit here for a while, and then let's say I was going to do incline bench. I would still warm up over there, 1 plate, 2 plate, however many plates, and then start my working sets. But pre-chest, I kind of repeat the same couple of movements a few times, right? I bounce around some single arm push downs because even though, of course, I'm aiming for chest, with any heavy pressing, your triceps are going to get involved. So I don't want to just throw my triceps at a heavy press with no warm-up. Right? It's silly. So I kind of do a couple of these, a little bit of rear delt / rotator cuff work by doing kind of a little bit of a face pulley looking thing here. I'd say this is close to probably the most important part of this for me because I've gone a pretty good period of time where I don't warm up my rotator cuff before chest. And whenever I don't do it, that's always the periods which I get a crunchy shoulder or I do a crunchy rep and I kind of fuck myself up. So just by warming up, and I'm not talking forever. I'm only going to sit here for a few more minutes, but just getting everything moving, putting some grease in your gears, I swear you're going to feel it. Or you're not going to feel it, which is good. Because if you feel something, then you're fucked. But a little bit of that. And then even before I actually move on to like a press or whatever, I still like to do a little bit of cable chest press. So super light, but just sitting here kind of getting a little bit of activation. Not like nothing hard. None of these warm-ups are even close to working sets. Not even a tenth of the intensity, right? As the name would suggest, I'm just warming up, right? I'm getting ready to load up, X number of pounds for X number of reps for this whole workout. And by doing a good one beforehand, I feel like you can just jump from machine to machine to machine without having to deal with any extra fluff work, So once I'm totally warm and I've done my first working set of, incline bench or hammer strength press or whatever, then by the time I've done that working set and I'm comfortable under the load, then I feel like I'm ready. I'm in a working set mode. So I can go from the incline barbell to the hammer strength press or the Smith machine or cable press or flies, and I can go straight to my working set. Because even though it's a different machine, right, my chest doesn't fucking know that. All it knows is it's under a lot of load. So once I'm nice and warm, I like to go from working set to working set to working set with as few feeler reps as possible. Because I feel like when you're really in the zone, doing anything other than your working sets are kind of, I don't want to say wasting energy because it's still adding to workload of the lift. But in my mind, I feel like it's kind of sapping energy from me. But I'm going to sit here for another few loops, and then we can jump to whatever the first working set is going to be. I'm not sure yet. I got to see how I feel. All right, so I warmed up incline bench, plate, 2 plates, did a couple slow reps with 275, but I could still tell not there yet. Not that I got re-hurt anymore, but you kind of get a sense of your not only strength level, but just kind of, I don't even know if I could quantify it, kind of like a subjective sense of my confidence. And I think a hard set, and I've got a problem doing slow reps. When I get to the end, especially with free weights, I start to kind of throw it around. I don't think that would mix well deep in here. I was kind of starting to feel a little bit of a, just a little bit of a sore ache. So let's let this simmer a little longer. Start with some lighter cable press instead. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. All right. A few more just like that. Oh my. Ah. Okay. 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 Let's move on to something else. A couple of feeler reps here. And 3 plates feels all right. After I do the first few reps, or the first 1 rep, these 2 little plastic clips are going to fall onto the ground. With this machine, it starts real deep. Too deep for me to really be comfortable with. So I put these little clips in here to give myself an extra 1.5 inches so I can start in a more natural position. If you've ever gone heavy on one of these machines, you know that first rep is kind of tricky because that's an unnatural depth. So I supplement it a little bit with this little spacer. That ends up being a good set. So let's just pick some kind of something and throw this shit around. Yeah. Okay. One more. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. 3 plates is too much. Oh, really good set though. Sweet. Let's do 2, 1 more set, and then move on. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh, fine. Okay. Yeah, those first few reps, I was really trying to get a good squeeze. That's good. Let's I feel pumped, but I'm not freakishly pumped yet. Like, there's blood in here, but I want it to feel like my skin's gonna rip off. Let's do some flies. Let's go do some cable flies. I think that'll be a good transition. First set of flies will be kind of a chest vertical, sort of downward like here. I'm a bit more inclined to do, I'm more inclined to do decline flies, because at the bottom of the movement, even though I am going top to bottom, I still feel my whole chest come into play. Upper chest too, because at the bottom I feel like I'm almost trying to continue the rep upwards, if you sort of catch what I'm saying. But in terms of pressing, I definitely like mainly incline to potentially a little bit flat. Like that chest press was not a super steep incline, but whatever. So top to bottom flies here, squeeze, moderate weight. I can just burn out. No. Oh. 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 Oh my God. Okay. Next set will be in front of the body and a little lighter. That was pushing it. Oh my God. One more, like that. Okay. That might be it. I might do one more set, but I'm not sure. I feel pretty good, but the question is, would I get a little bit more out of just one more set? I gotta think about it. By way of CIA astral projection, I've come to a conclusion. A little bit of a superset here for the ender. So I'm thinking a little bit heavier, take a few steps forward, start with cable press. So I'll take enough steps so that the cables come in at like a little bit less than a 90-degree angle. And then rack it, drop the weight, do some top to bottom flies. So that's usually, I mean, that's kind of how I like finishing off chest and back. Because you got to think, with chest, obviously upper chest, lower chest, back, upper back, lower back. So I don't mind a lot of lat work and then a lot of specifically upper back work. And I definitely don't mind a lot of specifically incline chest work, upper chest, plus a little bit of decline with the cables. But at the end of the lift, if I really want to finish off with a good pump, I'll usually do a superset combining the two styles. So with back, sometimes I might finish off with a set of pull downs and jump straight into a set of rows as a superset. So kind of the same logic here. So if I were to just finish with the cable press, my lower pecs might miss out on a little bit of blood flow, and same thing in reverse. So this is kind of a good ender that I always like doing. So let's just hit it and go pose down and see how we're looking. I gotta raise this up a few notches. Okay. Let's go pose down. Okay. Pretty solidly freaky lighting right here. Let's just see how we're looking. So just from guessing, or not even guessing, but just based off of feel, this is a pretty good one. I think I might have been a little bit dehydrated today, which I might be feeling just a touch of, but regardless, still a good pump. So let's peel off this outer shell and see what's underneath. For anyone curious, morning weight was 250.8. I suspect 260 will appear on the scale in no time. Not that I need to hit that specific number, but 260 is a pretty fucking cool number. Oh my goodness. I almost feel like with a chest pump, it fucking takes away from my lats because they're just fucking overpowered in comparison when they're so full. But fully pumped, I'm ready to get home and eat. I think, well, I know for a fact Cane's is closed by now. Truly unfortunate situation, but I'm sure I can muster up some grub in the crib. Oh yeah, love it. Now that was a pretty good lift. That was a lift where I can walk out of the gym and say, oh, that was pretty good. Not my most intense chest day because the weight was, just a little bit limited because I don't want to try to go so heavy that I re-fuck myself up. So I'm kind of in an interstitial period of doing more light sets, real pump biased, and just work with what I got going on. But working around kind of a little bit of a setback or an injury, dude, that's going to put you miles ahead of the dudes who just totally take their foot off the gas and just chill. And I'm not saying hurt yourself more, right? If your shoulder hurts when you bench, or if your elbows hurt when you do push downs, and I mean like you're hurt, then you got to back off, let yourself recover. But working within the realm of your current capabilities rather than just sitting back, I think we all know which scenario is going to be better. So, oh man, I have been seeing a ton of, self-improvement, not even hope core though. This is like fucking doomer level posts on TikTok. And it's like, you'll put the most badass picture of Toji where he's walking through like a hallway or something looking like a total nut. And it's like, I'm just trying to get better. And I love the idea. Like, I love that kind of shit. It's like, I want to stand out. I want to push it to the limit. I want to be the 1% who can actually make it happen. But where you lose me? When you fucking make a post about it. Some shit in terms of motivation, I think, and this is just my opinion, of course, but I really do think you're better off keeping it to yourself. Because in a way, by posting about it, like by posting what you're gonna do, by posting what you want to do, posting like, oh, one day I'm gonna do this, in a sense, I kind of feel like you're just distancing yourself from your goal. Right? If you're posting stuff like that, then all you're doing is really saying out loud, I'm not where I want to be. It's like, I don't know. For me, I see that and it just feels like it's all talk. And considering just the fucking large population of lifters now, right? I mean, the gym's fucking mainstream. You got to remember that includes, I mean, I don't want to be a hater, but I think there's been a flattening of the curve of intensity in the gym, which not a bad thing. The more people in the gym, the better. I love it. Right? Do not think I'm trying to gatekeep you, but I see a lot of videos of dudes, and it's like, you know, I go to the gym to hurt myself for fun. I just don't like it. I think at the end of the day, I'm really just saying I don't like those kind of posts, and that's just, you know, my own fucking beef. Don't let me try to dissuade you from using whatever motivator possible. You know, if you want to get fucking if you want to improve your build, get big, get lean, get strong, and then in maybe more of just an athletic context, I don't know, get fast, be agile, do some plyometrics, right? Whatever you got to do to hype yourself up to do it. That is sick, right? Don't let me dissuade you from any particular kind of thought process. But, you know, I think there's a very noticeable oversaturation of talking the talk, but not really walking the walk nowadays, right? When I hear people talk about, like, oh, the pressure has never been higher to, you know, to look fit and to be, you know, in the gym and like you look a certain way. I agree in a sense, but I think that doesn't really fully encompass the situation. I think there's a very large pressure to appear like you do that kind of shit, right? To like record a TikTok, post it, make yourself look like you're in your perfect element, and it's all just kind of a farce. Not for everybody, of course. I'm not saying there aren't dogs out there, but you know, this is just kind of a fact of the world. The population of guys who really kill it, it's tiny compared to the dudes who are just kind of going through the motions, pretending that they want to. So for every 10 chumps, or no, for every one baller, there's at least 10 chumps out there. So in a way, I kind of feel like maybe don't put too much emphasis into like matching the status quo of what you see on social media, because all this shit is fucking, you know, fake bullshit, edits, perfect lighting, Photoshop. Oh my god. That's fucking brutal, you know. So don't get too attached to like, you know, oh, I gotta be like this guy because he looks crazy veiny in this picture, and it's like fucking deep fried to hell with, you know, the saturation down to 3. Come on, I don't freaking know. This is one thing which I do get pretty curious about. I'd love to kind of have a chat with some older dogs. I'm talking some legends. I'm talking some Kevin Lavronis. I'm talking some Tom Platts. I would love to hear what they've got to say, because even though the gym populace is increasing, which, like I said, sweet, the social media side is pretty fucking, eesh. Let's just say it's pretty scrappy. There's a lot of just appearance involved. Not what I love, right? The TikTok, if you're curious, the TikTok and the Instagram Reels videos that I'm gonna leave a like on, or I'm gonna comment on, it's the dogs who are pushing it. The dogs who are doing some heavy weight, you know, for their size. If I see a video of somebody 160 pounds and he's doing a crazy set, and I can tell just from watching, like, he's pushing it to the limit, that's badass. That's what I want to see. You know, that's what I want to see everywhere. All lifters, posting or not. And so that's kind of just my thought process there. So, and it kind of makes me curious too. I wonder what the fitness world is going to look like in 10 years, or even maybe even a couple of years. I don't know. There's always an ebb and flow and a give and take and a change and whatever. So it's just kind of cool to think about. But either way, the more beasts we can get popping out of your local gym, benching the 100-pound dumbbells, you know, curling the 50s and above, getting fucking gnarly pumps, putting down calories, the better, right? Don't forget, I want to live in a world of freaks. And that does not mean mass monsters. Right? I know 180-pound dudes at my fucking rec center, or like at my YMCA, or even lighter than that. This isn't all about mass. I'm a fucking mass addict. I want to get heavier. I want to be, well, bigger. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. But, that's just me. Right? A lean 160 who does look like he's been lifting, that is a good look. Don't think that I'm so body dysmorphic that when I look at old pictures of me when I was, in high school, back in my 180-pounder days, that I think, oh man, what a small piece of shit. Oh, what the fuck? No, that's not what I'm thinking at all. That was just my size and level of muscular development at the time, which I still like. I'm sure eventually in life I'll end up downsizing, but for the foreseeable future, this is the plan. Mass gaining, aka bulk, 2-month, 3-month cut, just to peel off some body fat, give myself a break from pushing so many calories, and then it's also just fun to see yourself cut. I'm sure if I just did like perpetual bulk for the last 2 years, then I would probably be heavier, but I definitely have a bit more body fat on me. There is a limit. Don't think that I think you should just try to gain as much weight as possible. You shouldn't push it too far into some real heavy body weight, or at least real heavy body fat. Because if you're kind of a lean 180-pounder and you turn into like a 30% body fat 240-pounder, then sure, you're huge, or you're much bigger, you're heavier, but you're setting yourself up to fail because now you've got all that body fat to deal with. And if you want to trim back down, you're going to have to diet for so long that you're probably going to end up eating into some of that muscle that you built. Not that it's just going to disappear, but a calorie deficit for long enough, that is going to peel back some mass on your frame. So if I were to get too soft, if I started really packing on body fat, then I'm sure I'd kind of draw back on the calories, chill out a little bit, eat just a touch closer to maintenance. That's usually my rule of thumb. So if you have to eat sweets, if you've got to eat some candy and some chocolate milk or donuts and a bunch of cereal, that's just what you got to do to gain weight, then that's what you got to do. But that's within reason. If you're packing on a ton of body fat, then that means you're eating too much, which is a very rare situation. 90% of dudes eating too much, and I'm including me. It's hard for me to eat. Well, I can't eat too much. I just, eating does get pretty tricky. But if you're really packing on body fat just too quick, then that's your cue to bring the calorie surplus down a couple notches, just so you don't set yourself up to fail when you try to diet down later. That's pretty much it, man. So bulk will continue. Do not, I'm gonna have to come up with a new name for these, because every time I fucking name one of these little bulks, and I name it like the start of the season that it started in, by the time this bulk ends, it's gonna be, well, I couldn't even tell you exactly when it's gonna be, but it's gonna be in a fucking while. It's not gonna be over in a month. There's at least, well, I don't even want to say. Every time I say how long it's going to be, I end up underestimating it. It goes longer and longer and longer. The bulk will be until I feel like the bulk is over, which there's no locked in answer. If I feel like I can still pack on a little bit of muscle at like the month 5 mark, I gotta keep pushing it. But if I feel like I'm pretty much plateaued, I've stayed the same weight, I really just can't get any more food in my system, then to try to keep going and just stay at like a plateaued state, in a way I'm just kind of wasting time. You got to know when you push it, there's a limit to what you can handle, and then back off, reset, do a little 2-month diet period, come back stronger with a bigger appetite. Plus, Well, I think I've said enough about the bulking and cutting. Plan for tomorrow is going to be back. Uh, Not really sure where I'm going to go. I haven't gone to Planet Fitness for a little while, but this gym has better back machines than the Planet Fitness does. So maybe I'll go here, or maybe I'll go to the Metro. I'm not really sure. That's one thing I like about having a couple different gym memberships is, some gyms have different equipment than others. And then there's just different vibes too. Plus, really big factor, especially for me, because I've got a pretty irresponsible sleep schedule. Having at least one gym nearby with 24-hour access, that is important. Now, you could argue I should just be more responsible and not fucking stay up super late and sleep in. Very valid point. But, sometimes shit goes down. Even if I did wake up at a reasonable hour, if I just had a ton of schoolwork to do and studying and a test and well, that's really all I'm dealing with right now. But you got a long day of work, you got to deal with shit at the house or whatever. Or if you're in my, I guess 25 or older demographic, you probably have kids. You got to deal with that shit. So, if you're a real nut, then 24-hour access does help. So that's what I get with the anytime. Yeah, nothing else to say, man. We're good. I'm gonna stop at Sheetz and get some snacks. You know what I've been loving? Reese's cups have been going down like nothing. And I think, I don't remember exactly, but I'm like 96% sure that one Reese's cup, normal style, is 100 calories. And I mean, it's not hard for me to sit down, put on an episode of a show, and just have 8 of them disappear, right? That's 800 calories like nothing. So, sweets, a little bit of candies. For anybody curious, I fasted blood glucose, because I just got my blood test a little bit ago. I'm not going to go over all the fucking results, but that is something that you should be watching out for, especially if you're doing a big bulk and you're eating a ton of treats. You don't want your fasted blood sugar to be too high, or else that just means you're pushing your fucking pancreas a little bit too hard. You're not getting enough, you just can't pump out enough insulin to deal with it. If you know what I'm talking about or you don't, fucking whatever. But 74, nice and low. Nice and freaking low. So for anybody curious there, that's just a little bit of intel into the biometrics. But as far as I'm concerned, that just means put some more sweets down, stay nice and carved up, have a crazy pump, and continue to have crazy pumps until I feel like, oh, I can't eat anymore. It's time to start dieting. Oh man, I'm already getting excited for that too. Let's transition into one more little topic, and then we can get out of here. I don't want to hold you up too long. But when it comes to bulking and cutting, everybody's got their preference. Some dudes like bulking; they like being nice and full of food, because then you can really eat whatever you want, and you don't have to worry about your body fat, or well, at least not too much. And then you can, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, you're nice and strong. You're nice and carved up. For me, training is probably most enjoyable during a bulk, because I feel like when I'm bulking, that's when I'm really doing work. That's when I'm really making tangible progress towards, improving my physique in the scope of, gaining muscle. So if I'm full of carbs, I've had a ton of food, well rested, very well hydrated with electrolytes, then I can go into the gym and I can kill it. Plus, freaky ass pump. And then, after doing that for a while, I've got a bit more body fat on me. Some of the cuts are gone. No more ab veins creeping up my stomach, or really crazy striations on my shoulders and triceps and quads. Then, when I start dieting down, by the time I finish doing a proper bulk, I'm not fucking hungry at all. At the end of this bulk, once I start dieting, that first week, I'm probably not going to want to eat anything. Right? To the point where, like, at the end of the last bulk, for the first week that I started cutting down, I was only eating like 1,300 calories a day. And that wasn't like I was trying to limit myself that low. I was just like not fucking hungry at all. So once I've done a good bulk, then I'm ready to cut down, and it's not really a problem for me. So in terms of preference, I think I'm a little bit spoiled. I like them both because they both, play hand in hand into making progress long term, at least in a bulking and cutting approach. I could just like main gain, go to the gym, lift, eat as much food as I'm hungry for, and then chill. Which I'm not ripping on that method. I did that for a couple of years before I really started bulking up and putting a freaky amount of mass on. But I think the bulking and cutting method is going to work best for me, as far as I know. So, if you're afraid of cutting down because you don't want to lose your 275 bench or your 315 bench or whatever you're at, if you're really attached to that kind of number, I think you just got to forget about it, man. I know this is silly coming from me. It might not sound very genuine, but you kind of have to back away from the ego. I don't mind losing a bit of strength when I cut down because I know that that's just the nature of the beast. If I'm not putting down like 700, 800 carbs a day, well, 800 grams of carbs a day, yeah, obviously I'm not going to be as fucking strong. But that being, and then I'm just kind of hungry throughout the day too, which kind of sucks. But those being the main downsides of dieting down, right? After about a month or so, or wherever the end goal of your dieting phase is, you get to walk around nice and lean. And then you get an added improvement to your, well, let's just say your enjoyment of the lifts. Because it's sick. Like when I check my pumps on a bulk, nice and big, just feel, well, it's just approaching behemoth level. I don't think I'm a behemoth yet, but you get what I'm saying. It's fun to just be nice and big and full and hydrated, holding on to a lot of water and glycogen. But it is pretty fucking sweet seeing your pump when you're down in a much lower body fat percentage, and you can see extra veins and extra striations and extra everything. It's just fucking cool. So if you got a hard time bulking up because you don't want to put on extra body fat, who gives a fuck, man? It's still wintertime. It's not like you're taking your shirt off for anybody. And then, if you're afraid of losing a little bit of strength because you want to cut down, maybe pop your abs back out, get back into your high school mode, back when you were a defensive lineman, offensive lineman. Yeah, DL. Yeah, back when you were a defensive lineman in high school and you're doing two-a-days and you had some fucking sick abs. Hey, man, they're still in there. I'm kind of talking to the older demographic, right? Get on your diet, start tracking your macros. I know I say that all the time, like I'm just fucking repeating a little whatever, but I swear that's the best method. And then, shit, man, you're still you're just a little older. Once you get your gears turning again, I swear you got it. But yeah, so what I'm really trying to say there, don't be afraid to bulk, don't be afraid to cut, and definitely, no matter what style of lifts or weight gaining or losing methods you're doing, don't be afraid to go hard. Do not be afraid to go hard. I think that's a perfect ender. So it's nice and late. I'm ready to chow down on some. What do you think? What would someone who eats food with class say? What would Gordon Ramsay say about an 8-ounce top sirloin sided with 8 Reese's cups, a Gatorade, and I don't know what else. I'm probably going to eat a couple of other things later, but amen. I don't care what he says. I know that this meal is going to replenish the glycogen that I burned off in that lift, as well as deposit some amino acids right where they need to be. So I will see you tomorrow for back, and don't let me forget to remind you, or forget to rub in your face, that you're not doing your cardio, and we'll just leave it at that. So I'll see you next time.